everyone. This is Giulio Coraggio, location head of the Italian Intellectual Property and Technology Department at the global law firm DLA Piper. This is the podcast Legal Leaders Insights, where with legal leaders we explore the challenges of innovation. Today I'm with my colleague Tommaso Ricci, and we're really happy to have as our special guest Santiago Silva. Santiago is Senior Legal Counsel in the Marketing, Media and IT Department at Red Bull, and particularly he focuses on artificial intelligence and esports. So we're really looking forward from what Santiago can share with us.
Hi guys.
Good morning. Good morning, Santiago.
Good morning.
And thank you very much for being here. You told us that you will share with us your personal views. So you're not representing Red Bull in this talk, but obviously we're really curious to know your background and how you reached this point in your career, and obviously how you see the AI world evolving. But let's start from the beginning. Santiago, can you share with us a bit of the key moments of your career, the decisions that shaped your legal career, and what led you to focus on emerging areas like AI and esports that probably were not so much explored, at least a few years ago?
No, first, thank you for the invitation to be here. It's good to be here, actually. And yes, what you said is that I didn't just specialized in AI and esports, as you might think, right? Because these are quite not new areas, but they are quite innovative in terms of technology itself. So you don't just learn them on college. At least when I took my bachelor, it was not like an option to have an AI or esports course. I think but just to go to your question, I think one of the initial key moments that I had like an interaction with technology in law was when I started to work on the Data Protection Authority. It was quite important. I started to notice that cross line between technology and data protection and privacy. At the time, for example, the companies needed an authorization to start a data processing activity to a specific purpose. So we would need to go deep into the assessment. I think a little bit, and I joke with this a bit, that is like an impact assessment that we would do on a case-by-case basis, almost there. And also seeing the companies dealing with data breaches, and at the time being on the side of the authority. So that was quite interesting to in that point in time. Then I passed to an international law firm, and that also gave me two things, and I think those things are quite important. First, introduced me deeper onto the area of TMC, technology, media and communication, naturally, and it gave me the opportunity to expand the reach to clients, so very diverse clients. And I think that came in a very practical way, because clients have the needs, they have business needs, they have new questions, and in terms of emerging technologies, as we know, you don't have that playbook written ready to grab. So I needed to adapt a bit, and I think it started to take shape over the years, that I maintained the curiosity, the tenacity to go over like some subject matters, and a lot of self-study. Now you have a lot of courses, of course, but at the time, no. So you needed to do a lot of self-study. So I didn't just fall into those areas. I think I just went a little bit for them. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to have the opportunity to work for a client, and then you need to also exploit that opportunity, because learning just on the books it's not enough. You need to see it in practice, and
that mastery.
Yeah.
That mastery. Yeah. It's true.
Especially in our technological field. I mean, this is evolving so fast that every
Completely.
book is just like a picture. So the picture captures something in the past, whereas we are shooting like in a video, dynamic video mode. It's an action movie, so everything is happening super fast. And talking about action movies, like we know that Rebel is really known for pushing boundaries, entering unconventional spaces, and so this mindset, has it in any way influenced your mindset and your approach as a legal professional? You discussed that you approached some innovative fields like AI and esports. And I remember when we approached that, there was like no jurisprudence, no case law. Everything was in the shaping mode. So how has that also influenced your mindset?
Yeah. Well, that yeah, that is a very good question. I I want to say this. First, yes, Red Bull influenced me in a very positive way. That goes without saying. And not being an ambassador to the brand, of course, but as someone that works within the company, there is a huge sense of what we call freedom, and that allows us to achieve that best version of ourselves professionally. And I think that resonated a lot with me on the professional level, because it basically doesn't shape you on to that normal formal type of thinking. So you start to like be more expansive on the way that you think about legal questions. And one very special thing for me is that I think this comes very closely with the philosophies of the company themselves. That's why you have that expression that you always see in commercials and etc. advertisement, that Red Bull gives you wings. So that wings to people and ideas. So that is really a thing that is not a thing, an invented just thing. It's
It's a
we really,
philosophy.
it's a philosophy. We
It's a
really feel
mindset.
that. Actually, like, as a point of curiosity, if you have that curiosity, one time I was already speaking with you, Giulio, about it, and Tommaso, there is a book that is Wings for People and Ideas that combines exactly that history of the company with the philosophy that it enacts, and that philosophy passes not only the consumer but also for me as an employee. Just to have an idea, there are like three main pillars, I would say, that is freedom and responsibility, for example, and they are really a part on how we work. And when we talk about freedom, we talk about simple things like how to structure your work, set the priorities, bring forward new ideas. And just this, in this emerging technology side, it's everything, because you have that freedom of like taking the legislation, it's new, you start to read because you are with that responsibility within your companies, but you go for it, you are challenged to go for it. And that also brings like another thing, that is the meaning, that is this meaning that you are not just here to advise on adhering to regulations specifically, right? So you are not just incentivized, hey, you have here a regulation, please go through it and implement it as such. No, you are really under like a team that helps, and that helps business, for example, to shape their model, the business models, or how to implement this new technology. So having the opportunity of being there and trying to like do the best that you can while coming from the legislation side, from the legal side, is quite special to develop this type of environment in a very responsible way. So it gives that purpose to work. And yeah, one of the last ones is the mastery itself. So you don't just get good at it, you are incentivized to excel. And if you think about like how the athletes from Red Bull, they excel, they do things that are not like at the reach of everyone, just for the ones that are high performers and etc. So it really gives you that humanistic part that you can really be or achieve something that is special for you, and not just be that square of a lawyer.
No,
This is
absolutely.
You are pushing boundaries, not and you are really business partners. That's particularly interesting because like professionals like you, Santiago, you are into an environment which is changing with internal clients which are high demanding because they have to move fast and do things that other companies are not doing. So this also challenges you as a legal professional to think about solutions which other lawyers are not thinking at the moment, and generates creativity also in the legal profession that you're performing.
But I think it's a thing that is common to all of us that work in the IT, AI, privacy sector. We are invaded with this type of legislation that is quite comprehensive, and we need to make sense even of the overlap between the legislative pieces sometimes. So it's quite challenging, and if you don't have that type of more let's say mental flexibility, I think it starts to be quite difficult. And we saw that, for example, with GDPR, if you try to do like a very strict interpretation of the wording of the GDPR, sometimes you wouldn't not be able to allow business to come up with a business solution.
No, indeed, in a way, it's in line with our approach. I mean, everyone is good at reading the laws, but then you need to make sure that you find the right interpretation to enable what the business is willing to do. And Santiago, I assume this is what you face every day, because Red Bull is a very innovative firm. At the same time, you have legislation like the AI Act that you just mentioned. It's never been tested before courts. It's never been tested before authorities, because in some countries you don't even have the authorities at the moment.
Not even though almost the authorities like have a clear. I think even the authorities need to be a little bit creative at a certain point. I think it's even more challenging. Yeah.
And besides, the technology is evolving all the time. Whenever a new version of a famous generative AI solution comes into place, you can do new things that you couldn't do 3 months before. And so how do you juggle with this thing, this I don't think conflicting, this interests that need to push for innovation, but at the same time, obviously, compliance is a priority for a business like yours.
Yeah. So yes and no. Yes, no, because traditionally we are not that in that traditional tech company, that big provider of the technology. But yes, we all get affected from it directly or indirectly. Let's just assume the instructions of use of a specific system that you have. So you need, if you are deploying a specific system, you still have specific obligations that you need to comply under the legislation. Of course, transparency ones and etc. So of course it affects us at a certain point. But you know, the way that it helped me a lot during my career is really not to see these pieces of legislation as something that is going to block innovation or slow innovation down. I don't see them as roadblockers.
Yeah.
I see them as a map, as a framework that helps me to understand what are the importance or the main factors that I need to have in consideration when doing an assessment over a new solution. So they actually, if you get involved, of course, from an early stage, I think they help even companies to create a better product.
Sure.
You have a lot of examples. You have a lot of examples on where that happens. I think if I say the sentence that I'm going to say right now, you will just come up with 3 or 4 companies in your head. If someone does privacy as a feature in which they can sell it to the clients, like privacy is an add-on, it's a feature. We have privacy enhanced technology in our devices, and we relate more in the business of trust. So we create that trust environment. You can trust us, so trust our product, buy our product. So I think if you really take this type of legislation in a smart way and just don't see them as roadblockers, I think they can have even the opposite way. Of course, there are struggles. Of course, there are obligations that are stricter than others, and they are going to pose some challenges. But it's not entirely true, I think, for me in the personal level, that this legislation are just here to block innovation. I think that is a very dangerous type of argument. But yes, at the end of the day, it's a balance between the commercial interests of the company and how you can scale something responsibly and what people will trust at the end. And when I say trust, is not only the consumer, but also your employees internally, I would say.
Yeah, of course. During this brief speech, we discussed about trust, discussed about responsibility, and also we discussed about creativity. And like overcoming this enormous amount of legislation, especially in the digital scene, which is being provided by the legislator in Europe, is a challenge, of course. So being creative is essential. But considering that now we as legal professionals are starting to use even AI tools more and more daily for our activities, if there's like one specific skill that you would suggest a young professional to acquire and to develop, to master and build a successful career as yours, what will it be?
First and foremost, I'm still young. I still have a lot of career in front of me. So I don't intend here to be a coaching. But if
the concept of being young is becoming even always more subjective because
I feel that I just came from university just yesterday. So in my one day of experience, it's not just one keyword or just, I think it's really like an idea. I think it's very important to learn to navigate ambiguity and being creative while doing it. This type of legislation is like technology evolves faster than the legislation itself. So sometimes you already need to have some insight on the technology, on the features of the technology, even before the legislation starts to appear. But there was a teacher, a professor of mine in college, Filippo Calvon, that she would say to me sometimes in this type of areas, try to see what is coming in the future and try to see how we will adapt to it. So I think it's that it's trying to be curious, it's trying to be always striving to that capacity in which you know that there is uncertainty, but you have to grab another piece of legislation that is new, start all over again and start to read article by article and then wait, because the community itself will give you a lot of information. For example, you guys are a source of value information every day. So it's that the LinkedIn is also pumping with a lot of information every single day. So it's that curiosity of not being afraid of taking new information off the internet and reading it and learn new things every day.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say that the motto of all the innovation lawyers, I love calling us innovation lawyers, is never stand still.
Exactly.
Mentally, operationally, in terms of learning, in terms of engineering new ideas and new applications and being part of the business. Santiago, I mean, this episode has been really insightful. I hope it is for all our listeners. We really thank you for your contribution, and
you're welcome.
I hope the listeners found it useful. If you want to subscribe to our podcast, you can avoid missing the new episodes. And we wish a very good day to everyone, and arrivederci.
Thank you for having me here as well. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Santiago.
Have a good day.